All right, we got a jam-packed Friday here on Trending in the AM. Eagles talk. Cooper Dejean, what will his role be? Saquon Barkley could retire at any moment. Aaron Rodgers is back in the NFL again. Why can't this guy go away? Phillies struggling to start June. Big Al Zaffiri talking DELCO Day 10 at 8:30. NFL quarterback ultimate ranking list for 2025. Where is Jaden Daniels? New names released at 9. We are jam-packed, guys. We're live. 30 seconds. And a very good morning, everybody. Welcome to Trending in the AM right here on the STT Sports Network. We are live. YouTube and Twitter, guys, wherever you're watching, hit that like button. Hit that share button. If you're watching on the YouTube page, hit subscribe if you haven't. Starting today at 532 subscribers. So please like, share, subscribe. If you're watching on Twitter, great comment there as well. But if you head on over to our YouTube page, it's linked in my bio on that X account there. Go over there and hit subscribe. We got lots to talk about today. Sorry for the last-second cancellation yesterday. Had a very busy day at the pizza shop. Had to make the dough, literally and figuratively, guys. So we're going to talk Eagles today. Cooper Dejean and Saquon Barkley are on my docket there. We're talking NFL. Aaron Rodgers. The Steelers are getting what they deserve. Saquon Barkley's comments about retirement, very interesting. Phillies, 1-6 in their last 7 games, getting blown out again yesterday. We got some issues with the Philadelphia Phillies. 8:30 a.m. Big Al Zaffiri joined us to talk DELCO Day 10 and all these same topics as well. And at 9 o'clock, we're revealing 5 or 6 more names on my ultimate quarterback ranking list, including where does young superstar Jaden Daniels fall on the list. We're going to give all that out, guys. Lots to talk about, lots to get into. So let's just dive right into some of these comments. On stop tipping your changeup. That's talking about Jesus Luzardo. Some feel that his struggles the last 2 games are him tipping pitches. I don't know. Hopefully he doesn't have an ankle injury. That's what we'll say there. Cooper Dejean finally be all pro. He might be. I want to get my thoughts on this. OKC, yes, the Thunder blew their lead last night. And the Indiana Pacers win game 1 of the NBA Finals. TJ McConnell is 3 games away. And Jahlil Okafor, just so you know, from getting an NBA championship ring. Holy shit. Phil recaps NHL. No. Phil Illuminati assemble. That's right. Unite. Acknowledge me. Hold on. Acknowledge me. Okay, K1? Good morning, little G. Hope you're well. Peanut in the house. You mean half of the exciting whites, Cooper Dejean, a Pro Bowler, yet we should have other exciting whites. Yeah. Oh, man. Absolutely. Good morning, Rick. How you doing? I caught some of your show while I was passing out in bed last night. Talking about lobster rolls and beer right there last night when I was tuning in. The Phillies slump is real. Oh, it's real, all right, Big Al. 100%. I'll get into your thoughts with that when you join the show for sure. Good morning, Adam. Yes, we got up to 532 last night. Jaden is definitely in the top 10, Jaden Daniels. How far up in the top 10? I don't know. We'll reveal that at 9 a.m. UFL Championship weekend. What? Who cares? The 2022 Phillies busted out this time 3 years ago. How very ironic where we are now. Look, it's the same old song and dance with the Philadelphia Phillies. They win 8-9 games in a row, then they lose 5-6 games in a row. It's a consistency factor. They let themselves fall in these lethargic slumps way too often. It's the same story. It's inconsistency, whether pitching or hitting or whatnot. And it is becoming frustrating at this point. It really is. And I know Rick's going to get into the comments and say positive things and they'll be fine. But why? I mean, this has literally been 3 years running the same story every single year. Happy Friday, Steven. I say Daniels at 7. Yeah, you might be right. You might be wrong. You got to stay tuned to find out. Will Florida repeat and wreck Canada? Who knows? Who cares? Phillies will see. I knew Rick would have some. This is baseball. Yes, Rick. It's fine. But here's my question for Rick. Rick, it's okay for you to overreact and be excited when they win a lot of games in a row. Why is it not okay for us to overreact when they lose a lot of games in a row? It's like a double standard there. We can overreact to their good and we can overreact to the bad. Right now, it's really bad. But it's bad that's been similarly bad for 3 years. The same flaws. I can't believe won the Ted Lindsay Award, Phil. Where is the justice in that? Who? What? I don't know what you're talking about there. If they get swept by the Pirates, does Rob get fired? If they get swept by the Pirates this weekend, I will be definitely on the show Monday morning asking for it. I'll tell you that. They're not going to get swept by the Pirates. Although, I can't believe it's June 6th, and we've got the best starting rotation in baseball, supposedly, and we have to have a bullpen game today. I know Zach Wheeler's on maternity leave right now, but seriously, there's not a better starter available than Joe Ross tonight? Seriously? Exactly, Adam. Why can't Aaron Rodgers just go away? Telling the Pittsburgh Steelers he will be reporting to minicamp next week. He's going to play football for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Couple things on that. A, yes, why can't he go away? B, the Pittsburgh Steelers will get and deserve everything that's going to happen to them. He's going to set that franchise back half a decade. C, it's probably going to cost Mike Tomlin his job when it fails. D, I don't even think Mike Tomlin wants him. It's probably a front office decision. Pathetic. Can't stand the guy. He just needs to go away. Phil, sides with Oilers, Canada, and Musk. What? No. Is it okay to overreact? It is okay to overreact. Just trying to help save from anxiety. Look, I still, even with them going 1-6 in the last week or so, still think they're going to win 95 games, Rick. It's do these ugly flaws that have shown their head in the regular season, then creeped back in the playoffs the last 3 years happen again this year. And the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Plain and simple. Aaron Rodgers is also an intellectual. He is not an intellectual. He's an idiot. He's a dope. He's a nitwit. The NBA coaches will give Ricardo their, if he guides the Pacers to victory. This is a very deep team. I'm rooting for them. I'm rooting for the Pacers. How many coaching careers has Rodgers ended? I don't know. I don't even know how many coaches he's had. Obviously, he ended Robert Sala's coaching career. Was he there? I mean, he wasn't the direct end of Mike McCarthy, was he? Maybe. I don't know. I'm not actually sure the answer to that question. I'm not doing this is a World Series team. This isn't a World Series anymore this season. It's been too much of that already. I'm going to let the season play out and enjoy the ride. I think ultimately they will be fine. Look, the Phillies are going to be fine in the regular season. Will they be fine come playoffs? Will Dave Dombrowski wake his ass up, bring Justin Crawford up? Will Dave Dombrowski wake up and keep Mick Abel in the rotation? Will Dave Dombrowski wake up and find a better option than Weston Wilson and Brandon Marsh to play on this team? Will we figure out our bullpen? I've been saying for a month plus now, don't wait till the trade deadline. Make moves now. But yet he doesn't. We've had Weston Wilson pitch twice in the last 6 games. It's ugly right now. As good as the 9-game winning streak looked, this 7-game stretch of 1-6 ball is just as bad. The Phils have the answers to their problems sitting waiting in the wings. Look, everybody like to talk about the daycare. Stott, Marsh, boom. Well, I think it's time for a new daycare news. Mick Abel, Andrew Painter, Justin Crawford, Otto Kemp. Is there any bullpen arms in AAA that we could call up? Like, seriously. Let's influx this team with the new daycare because this team looks lethargic and bored out there. And like there's no pressure on them. They haven't won anything yet. They need to put the pressure on themselves. As ugly as Phillies baseball is right now, it will be that much more beautiful when they get back in the winning ways. That's the fun, wild ride of baseball. Enjoy the journey. We're enjoying it, and we hype it up when it's good. and we criticize it when it's bad. It's funny how Rodgers is going to the team that he beat in his only Super Bowl. You know, is Aaron Rodgers one of the most overrated elite quarterbacks of all time? Aaron Rodgers is an elite quarterback. I mean, 20 seasons in the NFL. He's got all the passing records. He's won one Super Bowl. He's only been to one Super Bowl. That's 19 years of falling short of the ultimate goal, which a lot of quarterbacks do that. There's a lot of quarterbacks that never play in a Super Bowl, let alone win one. Let me tell you something. Aaron Rodgers is praised as this elite quarterback. Only been to one. And it was like, 15 years ago? If Jalen Hurts never goes to another Super Bowl again, we will despise him in the end in this city. But Aaron Rodgers doesn't do it. He's the GOAT. Everyone's so excited. I can't stand the guy. I have nothing good to say about Aaron Rodgers. I had NBA on in the background first entire game. I had it on for the first half, turned it off during halftime. Forgot to turn it back on in the second half, to be honest with you. I was too busy watching Rick's podcast in the second half. Dombrowski does not inspire a ton of confidence. Maybe he will surprise us. I think, Rick, this is a big part of those of us like me that don't have confidence long-term in this team. A lot of it stems not from Rob Thompson, not from the players, but Dave Dombrowski. He's failed at the deadline the last couple years. And this team does need help to push him over the top. And it just doesn't seem like he has the same energy that he did with Detroit or with Boston. Not the same aggressive nature guy that he used to be. Will Cooper play safety this season, as Vic seemed to suggest? This is why the title of the show is Cooper Dejean better than advertised? When you have your defensive coordinator talking about your second-year slot corner who played great as a rookie, when you have Cooper Dejean being talked about how, whatever, I want him to be my slot cornerback, but he will be on the field in any and every capacity as a cornerback in the slot, on the outside, at safety, whatever we have to do to keep him on the field 100% of the snaps. That leads me to believe that Vic Fangio has extremely, extremely high confidence in Cooper Dejean, that he feels that the talent of Cooper Dejean is so special that you can't take him off the field, no matter what position you play. When he talked about the safety, even though he hasn't practiced in OTAs at safety yet, according to reports, K1, it really, really makes me think about Cooper Dejean and what his ceiling is really capable of being. And that's why I asked the poll question on YouTube right now. Is Cooper Dejean even a Pro Bowler in 25? Yes, no, yes, and an All-Pro. There's only 8 votes. Make sure you guys are hitting the like button, the share button, the subscribe button, and voting on the YouTube poll. I greatly appreciate it. Got to get Stott out of the leadoff role. Yeah, look, I'm a Stott leadoff guy, but yeah, even I can admit that it's just not working. I think Trey Turner should be the leadoff guy, honestly, Rick, not Schwarber. I think Schwarber's doing just fine in that cleanup spot, in my opinion. That's the big problem. There are quadruple A pitchers in triple A. Very few options. Griff McGarry is still a thrower. Did they ever move? I know they talked about a year or two ago moving Griff to the bullpen. And I hate quadruple A pitchers. I know exactly what you mean by that. I use that term all the time. Hurts being more accomplished than Rodgers. At this point, maybe. Aaron Rodgers is a regular season quarterback, but to his defense, it is so hard to win a Super Bowl, especially during the Brady years. That is fair. But at least get to another one, right, Marshawn? At least get to another Super Bowl, if that's the case. The youth needs to be the movement right now. Let's see what Miller can. Sure, bring up Andy Miller, too. I don't know how his AAA season's or his minor league season's going, but go for it, Crawford. I mean, Crawford ain't going to be any worse than Marshall Rojas out there. Abel and Painter. Yeah, bring it all. Let's go. Beating 2010 Vikings, Bears, Lions ain't. And that's true. That's true. Rodgers is so old, he will be boxing versus Paul after. I love it. I love that, Peanut. Sure, I can see that happening. Jim Kelly and Dan Marino never won a Super Bowl. Exactly. I know that. And that's why I hold them where I hold them in the realm of all-time greats. They're great quarterbacks. But they didn't get the job done when it mattered most. Jim Kelly had 4 chances. It's not like he faced Tom Brady 4 years in a row in the Super Bowl. They played 3 different teams in the Super Bowl. He couldn't beat any of them. I honestly have no interest in the NBA anymore, mostly because the Sixers are hard. Don't worry about the Sixers, Marshawn. They brought in Dennis Smith Jr. for a workout yesterday. Dennis Smith Jr., another 6'2" point guard that's, never shot. His average is under 30% from the three-point line and under 70% from the free throw line. 28-year-old former lottery pick, Dennis Smith Jr. is going to save the Sixers offseason. Good point, K1. Yeah. No, I agree. Kemp and Crawford and Painter all need to be called up. You got to put the word immediately in there, okay? You can't just say be called up. You got to put immediately, because they do. I think Dejean can play any position in the perimeter and deep field. Yes, that includes. I agree. I love how you throw linebacker in there, Marshawn, because I agree. I wholeheartedly agree with you on that. Quinton Mitchell's great, too. I mean, obviously, he's the best cornerback on this team. I saw a list of the best cornerbacks in the NFL, like NFL on Fox or PFF. I forget who put it out there. Like Quinton Mitchell, like 18. They're like, that's insane. Dejean will play mainly in the slot, but outside and safety and baseball. Yeah, absolutely. And they don't run base often. I had that in my notes somewhere. 5 times a game. But I think what it is, Rick, is just talking about how Vic Fangio values him so much that he's talking about doing versatile things with him to make sure he's on the field in every single package out there. That's the definition of a special player. With the huge question mark at cornerback, we are literally going to need Coop to have a Pro Bowl season. I think he does have a Pro Bowl season. I think he'll be at points in the conversation for All-Pro. I don't think he'll be an All-Pro yet, but I think he's going to be in the conversation. The reality of the 42-16 Iron Pigs is setting in for the Phillies, and they're playing right for their jobs now. There's got to be somebody down there they could call up for the bullpen. Ringo is a poor man's Ronald Darby. Ronald Darby did retire this week, by the way. Kind of wanted him as depth nod to Dory Jackson on this team. And that's not, Ronald Darby had a big play in the Super Bowl the championship game against the Vikings. Ronald Darby had a solid career, played for 6 teams. A solid option when you've got other elite players around him. What else can Dabrowski do with this salary cap ravaged team? I ask with respect. Well, we don't have a salary cap. There's a luxury tax. Baseball's different. If you want to say salary cap, you'll believe what some others say that, like Raiders Frank on Twitter, that Middleton capped what he could spend. He can he's got to. He's made bad move after bad, bringing in Walker last year, whenever. Bringing in Kepler as your big addition this year. He's failed left and right. Good morning, Duck. How you doing? A listen quietly day for me. Okay. Well, we'll keep you in mind in the background while you're doing your thing, all right? The field goal kicker blew it for the Bills winning the Super Bowl. Yeah. Wide right. I know. What was that, like a 20-19 game? Jim Kelly had too much ego to buckle down. Some players had pink powdery, maybe some pink powdery substance from Stephon Diggs would have saved Jim Kelly. They also serve who only sit, and yeah, that's true. The Jim Kelly Bills were stacked with all-pro players and couldn't deliver after 4 tries. That is the difference between Hurts and perennial Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Yeah, I mean, he did stack James Lofton, Andre Reed, Thurman Thomas, Bruce Smith. The list goes on that Bills team. Dennis Smith Jr. takes entirely too many contested shots. I don't even know why, but obviously Daryl Morey knows that the Sixers can't add anybody really this offseason, so he's going to resort to the scrap heap again. People in media can't say Jalen is an elite quarterback because of his stats, but they say Aaron Rodgers is a great quarterback because of his stats, but then has the same Super Bowl ring. Marshawn, you sum it up perfectly well. Perfectly well. If only Ronald Darby had Ringo's height. I don't even remember how tall he was, but I guess I remember him being short. I will not doubt the Philly Dogs again. Ringo will be fine. We'll find a way to be great. All this group has done is win at every level. That is fair. What if Nolan Smith keeps getting better and better? Well, I hope he continues to keep getting better and better. I think he will continue to get better and better. I have full faith that he will keep getting better and better. So that's all good. Luzardo went from Steve Cutson to Steve Johnson. Look, I haven't had time to look up his numbers yet, but everybody, I'm writing it down so I can do it later. Everybody was calling him the next Steve Carlton. I'm like, he was a nice pitcher, but he was never going to maintain the success level that he was pitching at. He was never going to do that. I mean, he's right, though. How did I lose a subscriber since the start of this show? We start the show at 5:32, and we're at 5:31. Guys, like, share, subscribe, vote on the poll. What's up with that, Adam? How's that even possible? I'd much rather have the parade than MVP trophies, yeah. Who wouldn't, Marshawn? Well, Aaron Rodgers, probably. Super Bowl MVP is way much better anyway. Absolutely accurate. Who wouldn't want Super Bowl MVP? I mean, he won the Super Bowl. Versus those regular season meaningless awards. I went to Die Ruff High School, Andre Neat's school. He used to visit the school, and kids would do the choke nose. What? Went to the Ruff High. I don't even know what you're talking about. I have 5:31. That's a +1. Well, we started the show at 5:32. Okay. Might have been a bot that dropped off. Probably. That happens. Marshawn, I agree totally with that. Been saying forever, regular season MVP's most meaningless award in sports. I agree with you, guys. It really is. Now, regular season MVP to an individual player does also equate validation for the skill and the work. But in the grand scheme of things, all that matters is titles. But I do think players want the MVP more than they let on. Yeah, Jalen Hurts always says, I care more about titles and that stuff. And you guys say the Super Bowl MVP is more important than regular season. I get all that. All right, but only one team can win the Super Bowl every year or the championship every year. So sometimes a player like Jalen Hurts might say the right things, but deep down inside, Jalen Hurts wants validation for the work he puts in, the way he leads. But I think it does matter to an extent to players. You think the Ravens are ecstatic about Lamar's regular season? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. They said no starter in MLB history has ever given up that many runs in those few of innings. That's an indictment of this pen and this manager as much as it is Luzardo. Yeah, 100%. What's it, 20 runs in his last 2 starts? I mean, damn. Hold on. Do I want to go with the Chris Tucker? Damn. Or do I want to go with the Ron Simmons? Damn. Which one's more appropriate for this situation with Jesus Luzardo? Regular season MVP is a participation award. To an extent, it is. Agents and wallets care more about the MVP than the players. See, I agree, but I also disagree. I do think I think it's more of a validation thing than we let on. Hurts is already better than Rodgers. I mean, you won't have me arguing about that. But let me tell you something. There's a lot of people that put Aaron Rodgers in the top 5, top 10 quarterbacks of all time. I mean, I think they're idiots for thinking that, but 1st and 10 dagger throw for a touchdown is the only validation Jalen needs. It was already about the work and not the award. I agree. I get it, Marshawn. I'm just saying, in a year that they don't win the Super Bowl, getting that extra validation when it comes time for MV or Hall of Fame, nominations, he's going to want that on his list. I'm so mad at we're not talking about that. What accomplishments? 4 regular season MVPs, 1 Super Bowl victory. That's it. I would rather have playoff Eli Manning than playoff. Absolutely. Absolutely. He's a Super Bowl MVP too, right, Marshawn? Eli Manning is the epitome of regular season game manager and Hall of Fame player come the playoffs. It breaks my heart to say it, but it ain't wrong. It's not wrong at all. Most people don't like Aaron Rodgers because he dated Swick. It has anything to do with Danica Patrick, why we hate him. Has nothing to do with it. It has to do with the fact that he's a freaking dope. All right? There's some bad words that I would never say on the air, but I would say in private about Aaron Rodgers. Hottest take of all time, playoff Eli is better than playoff Peyton. I don't know about that. If I had to win if I had to pick a quarterback, and they're the only 2 quarterbacks to pick from to win the Super Bowl, I would definitely take Peyton over him. I'd rather have 07 and 11 Giants D-line than most of what has been mentioned. You're not going to take any, just like you can't take anything away from Jalen Hurts, you can't take anything away from Eli. He's a Super Bowl champion and a Super Bowl MVP. Plain and simple. You can't blame a team are a player for having a great team. Most Super Bowl champions have great teams. Fangio's press conference is very interesting. He says how it is, but interesting. He said Campbell will start at middle linebacker, but didn't say that's where he'd stay, just start. Well, okay, so what he said, Rick, was he's at middle linebacker right now because there's a lot more to learn for him at that. The responsibilities to learn at middle linebacker versus on the outside are greater for Jihad Campbell. And a rookie in Vic Fangio's system, which is very difficult to figure out, that's what he's hitting at. It's not where he's going to be or this or that. There's a lot more of a learning curve at middle linebacker under Vic Fangio for a rookie than outside. So I think that's what he was kind of getting at with that statement. So he wants him practicing and learning and studying that middle linebacker position versus the outside. When he gets moved to the outside, it's just going to be head down, go after the quarterback. Anyone watch Netflix? Nope, have not. Super Bowl Eli was clutch. He was. Playoff Peyton threw a pick to lose the Super Bowl. Playoff Eli threw a miracle throw to win the Super Bowl. All right. I hate Eli, but only because he was a Giant. Yeah, exactly. That's true. Miracle being the operative word there. Yes. Yes, correct, Phil. I have a feeling he will develop into a rover. He may eventually turn into that rover type. Especially if someone like Jeremiah Trotter Jr. turns into a player. If Nakobe Dean ever comes back and plays at a high level again, in theory, next year, we might have a surplus at linebacker, and you could do that. But going into this season, until we have a proven, definite answer on Trot Jr., who's getting all the first-team reps right now at linebacker in practice, until we have a definitive answer on him, you got to think Campbell's the linebacker in the middle. But as time goes on, you will see that rover type for sure. Just not this upcoming season, I don't think. I just think that's the way it plays out. You're going to have that rover role for Cooper Dejean as well. Like, we know Quinion Mitchell is going to stay on the outside for the next 10 years in Midnight Green. We also know that Jalen Carter is going to be on the field in the middle of that defense for the next 10 years. Cooper Dejean and Jihad Campbell are going to be all over the defense for the next 10 years. We're definitely trending in the direction of positionless football for this Eagles defense. Even Jalen Carter, to an extent, could play on the outside versus the inside. I mean, you're not going to have him drop into coverage or anything. No, I said Midnight Green. I did not mean Kelly Green. I did buy a Kelly Green hoodie, by the way, the other day. It's not a Kelly Green Eagles. It's a Kelly Green. It's a Super Bowl champion Eagles. I did. It really looked nice online, so I bought it. So I do like the Kelly Green. I don't like what Kelly Green represents, but that's it. That's all there is to it. But anyway, guys, like, share, subscribe. Free to do. Does not cost you a thing to do it. Still sitting at 531 subscribers. We've got 10 likes on this video, but there's 16 people watching. So drop your comments, drop those like buttons, subscribe buttons, please. Let's get to work. Just got a really good feeling that Trot Jr. is going to have a surprisingly good season. I hope so. I hope I'm wrong on him, but he hasn't proven anything yet outside of practice that he's going to do that. So until then, we just have to wait and see. Cooper's a positionless football player. Uncle Vic knows what he has with his defense. That's why he signed off on. Yeah, well, CJ is out there yapping his mouth, and we'll get into that in a second. But guys, real quick, like, share, subscribe. Joining me on the I Have No Sponsor hotline, the one, the only, Big Al Zaffiri. Good morning, Al. How you doing?
How we doing, Phil, and everybody else? What's going on?
Not much. You've been listening. You know what the conversation, the Eagles, Phillies, a little bit of everything. But first, before we get into any of that, obviously, I see your background there. I've got to pick up here, too, for it. This Saturday, June 7th, Dolan's Bar, Delco Day 10. Talk about it. Talk about what Delco Day is and how it's gotten to its 10th anniversary this year.
Well, Delco Day started off as just, it wasn't 12 hours, the first one. That was the only one that wasn't 12 hours. It was just punk bands, Delco people just hanging out and, tossed a charity in there to make it worth, make it extra fun for people. If you'll see kind of in the background that was the original Delco Day logo.
Okay.
And you've noticed it just says Delco Day 2015, and that was it. Like there was no Delco Day 1, because Delco Day 2, 3, 4, and 10 were never supposed to happen, as far as we thought. Then we saw that we had a heck of a turnout, and then it just turned into that. Now we raise money. Originally it was for VestaCop, which was an organization that got bulletproof vests for local police officers, because one thing we didn't know was that when you became a police officer, it wasn't standard to get a bulletproof vest. It's something that you actually had to buy, like your own thing. We thought that was crazy. We all just kind of assumed became a cop, got your uniform, got your vest, your gun, your badge, all that stuff. But a local cop got shot. Luckily, he had his vest on, and it prompted him to start VestaCop. We did that for the first 2 years. They kind of became part of a bigger group, became self-reliant, didn't need it. And then we met up with Headstrong and kind of grew alongside with them. And Headstrong, if anybody's not familiar with it, is like the Ronald McDonald House. They give a place for people to stay when they're getting treatment, if they're from outside the area especially, but also help people like somebody we know very near and dear, Freddie Burns, get the appropriate treatment that they need and help them with the cost of living and things because they can't do. And we've to this point have raised over 108. That'll be 7, I guess, so far. We weigh 120,000, I believe.
Wow.
Just charging $6.10 at the door, and for Delco Day T-shirts who have become classics.
Yeah. No, I have the orange one. I have the red one. I think I got a green one too.
That's the last two. So red was last year, and orange was the year before. So 9 and 8.
Gotcha. I hear you got quite a good one going on this year, T-shirt wise.
Mm-hmm.
So what for anybody watching that goes to it, obviously it's $6.10 to enter. Obviously, you got lots of stuff going on at Dolan's Bar. Got lots of bands and stuff like that. But what can they expect to experience while they're there?
Delco, and it's
if you can answer that in like 30 seconds without I know it's a big deal.
Delco and its finest, like, because I can tell you one thing, in 10 years or 9 years so far, this will be 10. I have not had one like outlandishly crazy thing where we had to call cops and break things up. The last 2 years together, we've had almost 4,000 people come through the door. And you've been to JT Brewski's, you've seen, or back in your day, it was probably like Thomas's or whatever it was at the time. That's a lot of people coming through the door. That was the last 2 years. Marty McGee's, we had probably average 1,200 people a year, if more, 1,500 people or more. So yeah, it's going to be a great time. You got local bands and not just local bands, but like some really good headliners coming out, and with Hollis Thomas DJing the night away after it's all said and done, just adds a little extra to it. So it's great food, great time, and by the way, it helps a charity. That's the beauty of it.
That's the number one thing.
Charity.
K1 wants to know if there'll be a lot of exposed midriffs at Delco Day this year.
There's gonna be a lot of Delco 7s there. Between Delco 10. If you're from Chester County, that's probably like an 8.
It's a special breed.
It was funny. I was just at the dollar store yesterday picking something up, and I was wearing the new Delco Day shirt, which is a lot of this logo up here. And the lady goes, "Oh, Delco Day, you should go to that." And I'm looking, and I forgot my shirt was on, and I'm like, "Never heard of it." Like, kind of messing with her. Never heard of it. I said, maybe I'll stop by.
Maybe. I do gotta ask. You're no young spring chicken anymore. We're from the same era of Holy Cross, Springfield. So we're about the same. How can you even handle hanging out there for 12 hours anymore? I would never be able to make it 12 hours at Delco Day ever again.
It's not easy. And most people don't. The reason it's 12 hours, people think it's just because we're degenerates, which is part of the problem. But no, it's one problem we saw that, this time of year, what's going on? You got graduations, you got weddings, you got birthday parties, you got just a concert season, a big concert season. Kenny Chesney, we used to call him it was our arch enemy because it was always on the same day. It was a Kenny Chesney concert. So what we said, let's combat that. If you're going to the Kenny Chesney concert, come beforehand. you can hang out for a couple hours pre-game here. And the old place at Marty McGee's was right on 420, so to get to the stadiums from there was 5 seconds away. So it was perfect. So I've actually had a lot of bachelor parties, bachelorette parties come through there. I've had birthday parties. I've had people come all dressed up because they're just coming from weddings. So that's the main reason. But yeah, I actually have been off from work Wednesday, yesterday, and today, because if I wasn't, I would be a complete shambles by like halfway through.
So obviously you said Hollis Thomas is going to be DJing into the night there for you guys. I would assume you expect a few local celebrities to pop their heads through there. If you can't announce anybody that's definitely coming, name some of the celebrities that have come through the doors of Delco Day in the past that maybe some of the people that might come on out can expect to see that level of participation from the local celebrity scene.
We've had a handful of local Phillies. This is the second time Hollis Thomas is actually going to be there. He was actually at Delco Day 2. And he just as like a celebrity guest that day. We kind of got away from the celebrity guest, and people just come through on their own. So Philly Sports Guy's been there every year. He's definitely going to be here this year. He actually canceled a trip he was supposed to go to just to stick around for this, because it's literally his backyard. Like, I mean, I'm not even making that joke up. It is literally his backyard where we're doing this in. So one person actually didn't come through, who was the only person we had booked to come through who did not show, was Mr. Invincible himself. He kind of bailed on us. And you probably all remember the time. The Eagles, they had this big thing. Kenny Chesney was here. Once again, why he is...
Damn that Chesney.
Yeah, why he's our villain. He had one day where all the Eagles came up on stage with him and they were singing and stuff. He heard that was happening and he bailed on us right when his book came out. So he then became, public enemy number one. And then I donated his jersey to charity and auctioned it off.
There you go. That's smart. That's smart right there.
Yeah.
All right, let's pull this down now. Obviously, guys, make sure you check out Delco Day 10. If you need something to do on Saturday, what's the weather like? Isn't it supposed to be?
Well, that's one of the reasons. That's one of the main reasons I want to come on here and say this, because a lot of people are very hesitant, and this will be literally. I have to say, in 9 years, we've had some picture perfect weather. Like, I mean, in 9 years, I had rain for about 12 minutes total. In 9 years, the weather has definitely trended in the great direction for us as of right now. Let's go to my iPhone app. They've only showed us like 55% chance of rain, and it's like for a very isolated time, and most of it's been off time, beforehand. So right now we're looking at some great weather and high mid 70s, and it's going to be a great time, and we got it covered either way.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so guys, make sure you check it out. It'll be a great time, and like you said, I love that it's for a great charity, a fantastic charity. Everybody knows somebody that's been affected by cancer or whatnot, and Headstrong does a great job. So it definitely helps raise a lot of money for a lot of good stuff. Oops, I took them off the scring there. There's that. So you think it's my first day or something like that ever doing this here. First day doing this, So anyway, we obviously been talking a lot about the Phillies and Eagles here. So real quick. I know you're back to doing some Phillies post-game shows occasionally when you have time on It's a Wrap. Obviously, last night was another disastrous outing for Jesus Luzardo and this offense. I know you comment in the chat, but you've got an open forum here to say whatever you want about this Phillies team. Where are you at with them?
Well, listen, like I said earlier today, the slump is real. At first, I was wondering if it was a slump or just a hiccup. This is definitely now a slump. I do worry a little bit with Jesus Luzardo now. That's 2 starts in a row. I kind of got like that Ranger Suarez feeling from last year, just coming out like gangbusters and then falling apart. Now, a lot of times we heard last year was the back injury, and then what else we heard? Like his family came to town for the first time. And, being a daddy and a player, because whatever the reasoning was. I'm hoping it's more of the pitch tipping issues, because that's an easier fix. I mean, that's what Jordan Romano's problem was in the beginning. They saw him tipping a ton of his pitches, and that's what came about it. So I'm worried about him, not as worried, but worried. The Aaron Nola thing, I'm still not worried about it until I see it. Like, people are very worried about, like, this is like the collapse of Aaron Nola. I mean, maybe it's a bad year, maybe it's a bad couple of months. Maybe there's more of an injury there than we thought. I don't know. We're not there. They're not telling us. It's very vague. So from a play, and I heard you say it earlier. One thing that really kind of scares me a little bit. So how one area we're flushed in is starting pitching, right? Yet somehow, some way, there's a bullpen game tomorrow. I just don't get it either.
Today's the bullpen game.
I mean, today. I'm sorry, today. Yeah.
No, Joe. I mean, could you have a team with 7 potential starting pitchers, yet where it's June 6th and we're starting Joe Ross today? I mean, that's not good.
And then you had Taijuan Walker have to go yesterday. I don't know if was he the plan? Was Joe Ross always the plan, or was it supposed to be like Ty Walker? Was it supposed to be? I don't know. I don't get it. And listen, I get, and I say this all the time. I 1,000% get why people are on with the Phillies because of the track record. The track record is there. I'm not off the Phillies yet. I'm not as I like Rick. I think Rick has a good idea of what baseball is, and I hate using that term. It's baseball, but this is part of the game where teams will slump. And I take one thing from the slump. I look at it this way. This team's all like they're all slumping. Unfortunately, at the same time, that's one of their MOs that they need to get through, and they're not getting through. So I see where the scariness of that is. But this team is better than they're playing right now. So it's not like this team is like, okay, this is what they were. Here they are. We know they're not going to get any better. Here we go. So I look at it that way, but it's time, and Nooms is putting it right here. I think it's time for some fresh blood. I really do. Yep. It's just the old thing. It's too much of the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, you say that they are, you speak so positively like Rick about them in general, but it is their MO. This is the same thing for 3 years in a row, and you also probably understand where I'm coming from on the negative side, the negative, Negadelphian side. We've seen this story in the same book, get the Iron Pigs. Maybe that's what this team needs. If Dave Dombrowski is not going to be uber aggressive and bring in multiple players, I always hated the term daycare. Always hated the daycare. Stott and Marsh and all those guys. It just didn't make sense. Maybe that's what this team needs, is more of an influx of young, youthful, energetic guys that could just bring something different to the clubhouse, to the field, whatnot. I mean, obviously, Mick Abel's been up here for 2 starts. He needs to be up here, in my opinion. Otto Kemp, Justin Crawford, Andrew Painter, maybe in the next week or two. I know he gave up a few runs in his last start, but maybe there's something to bringing up that youthful talent that will fix some of the energy, because they seem very lethargic when you watch them go out in the field the last week or so.
Mm-hmm. Well, competition also, I think that's the main thing, is like, let some guys who feel like maybe they're pretty secure at this moment, at least for the rest of the year, let them feel a little heat. Competition breeds excellence. It's a term that saying that I've used a lot in my coaching career. Just like, I'd rather have, I don't want anybody to come in and that's what actually is, I think, fed the Eagles their success in some ways. Yeah. Not that I think Jalen Hurts is worried about losing his starting position at this point, but he is competitive with himself. And we talked about him hanging out with like Michael Jordan, all that. Look at him. Look at Kobe. Look at the guys that we considered some of the best of the best. All of them had to be competitive with inside themselves, like pretty much make up like reasons why to tear somebody apart. Like Michael Jordan never had to worry about being cut at one point in his life, yet he probably played like he was. So that's maybe what the Phillies kind of need right now. Like, again, Bryce Harper's not going to feel like he's on there, but maybe Alec Boehm needs to feel that heat. Maybe Bryson Stott needs to feel that heat. Brandon Marsh, I know the Logan O'Hoppe thing. That was just the time. Like, there's no way around it. There was a time that he thought like it was a good idea at the time, but he is who he is. I don't see him getting any better. Yeah. That's why I'm saying bring up Crawford, let him ride the bench a little bit, see if he can be better. Maybe you could fetch a washing machine for him or something at the end of this trade deadline. I don't know, but and I don't think. I know we keep talking about Otto Kemp, and I would like to see Otto Kemp come up. I don't think the Phillies bring him up unless it's an absolute necessity. Like, they just kind of run out of players. He's trade bait. It's simple. I've said it in the chat before. Why bring him up? Chance the shelling of him, and then now he is their best commodity right now to sell. And what I mean by that, he's not their best player, but he could be lost, and he's not going to feel the burn, but he might fetch you the most out of it, overall.
Yeah. Adam, I just want to address this. I saw this the other day on the show. Somebody commented, this is not, I searched high and low for 48 hours. I did not find any proof that Aaron Nola rejected In fact, I saw Aaron Nola say he felt he would need one rehab start before coming back. Just wanted to put that on ice in the bed. I literally Googled. So I would have loved to have crushed Aaron Nola for this. I wanted to. I couldn't. So I just want to put that to bed right there.
And he would have deserved every last bit of it. I'm sorry. He would have deserved every.
Yeah, he would have deserved it.
Called tune-up games for a reason.
Exactly. Somebody tried to say, well, Bryce Harper didn't get or refused it, but, Bryce Harper's different there. You talk about people that, they feel like, Bryce Harper doesn't feel like he has to worry or whatnot, put some pressure. It's not like these Phillies. Everybody talks about these Phillies as if they've already accomplished the goal of winning the World Series at some point. None of these guys have won anything ever. So these guys should feel that pressure right from the top on down, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think this year's a little different in the sense that I think the year before and the year before that, it was like a foregone conclusion that the Phillies are going to win at one point. Like, it's not if, it's more when. And I think now it's like, okay, reality's starting to set in. You're going to have guys who aren't going to be there. I know JT's struggling, and I'm probably... By
the way, JT, ouch.
Yeah, I mean, the guy...
Did you see the hit he took?
Oh, I saw that, and I get roasted a lot for this one. I know Nooms has come at me at this, I think, at one time and all that, but most catchers aren't high in the lineup for most teams, and I'm not using that as an excuse. He needs to be better at the plate, 100%. But we know he can be. He still has really good wheels for a catcher, so he doesn't become a liability on the base path in that way. But what he could do as a defensive catcher, I mean, BCIB, maybe best defensive catcher in baseball right now, because he can still call a game. He orchestrates a game better than that. I don't know, better than everyone in my eyes in most places. I mean, he's definitely top 5 when it comes in. I mean, top 3 when it comes to defense. But when it comes to offense, this is definitely his worst year in the last, since being a Philly.
I still don't have any idea what they even do with him at the end of this season, because you don't have. I mean, I know they got the one kid. What's his name?
T8.
Yeah, that I think he's like 20 down in the minors. I don't know if he's quite ready to take over. You're not going to go into next year with Marchand and Stott as your catchers. So I don't know what you do with him, because he is still, like you said, a very good defensive catcher. He's just struggling at the plate, and he's getting older. But it'll be an interesting offseason with him, with Kyle Schwarber and whatnot. But it all won't matter if they get the job done and go out there and win this year.
I think they let him test the water a little bit, because I don't know how much of a market he's going to have. Maybe a couple years. But he's genetically superior. He is. Okay, maybe it was Nola you were getting on me about, but I think this is the one time you kind of let him test the market a little bit. Yeah. I mean, the Phillies kind of dropped the ball with Aaron Nola in that one. They could have probably saved a good chunk of money signing him ahead of time, but they weren't sure what they had with him, so they thought, we'll see what happens, and then he became the top pitcher in the market, and they had to pay him top pitcher. I mean, he was going to get paid well, don't get me wrong. Kyle Schwarber, if they're going to keep him, they're going to have to pay for him, because it was stupid. It's the same thing with Aaron Nola. They should have just signed him now. I think this is the time you kind of have to let it, because I just don't see him getting more than a couple of years somewhere, unless somebody's just trying to get him in for that year and they're going to willing to pay him for a couple more years after that. But yeah, you're going to have a log jam, or you're going to have to go out on the free market, because the difference between catcher and anybody else is, like, you can left fielder, his defense isn't great, but he's a great bat. You can't do that for catcher. Like, it's a huge problem.
Yeah, I love this comment from Marchand here. Imagine if Nola had signed with the Braves or something like that. Like, we would have crushed Dave Dombrowski for letting Phillies lifer Aaron Nola go to a division rival or something like that. Now we've overpaid him. Now we see what he's at, and we're frustrated with him. But we would have killed Dombrowski either way in this situation.
But we're frustrated. See, that's my thing. The Aaron Nola situation, if you said, hey, I'm an alien from outer space, what's this whole thing about Philadelphia sports fans? I would just look at the Aaron Nola story. Like, that is the typical up and down, wish-washy, don't know what to feel about a guy, knowing he's good, but underrating him, but never happy with what he gives you type situation. Because we were all like, how many people have you heard doing this show before they signed Aaron Nola for a year or two before? I'm over Aaron Nola. He stinks. He's a 3 or less, and blah, blah, blah. The minute he's ready to go, the minute they don't re-sign him, oh my God, could you Aaron Nola needs to stay. Why is he not staying? I'm like, Same thing with Rhys Hoskins. Rhys Hoskins is the same thing with me. Like I'm over Rhys Hoskins, but here we go. Rhys Hoskins.
I want nothing to do with Rhys Hoskins back on this team. Sorry, I know people want him back here, and I know people love him, but that is exactly what we don't need. Another first baseman / DH that has streaky player. It's not what we need. And I mean, unless you're
gonna get rid of what's his name out in left field, Kepler, and move him in at left field, that might be the only way that play works. But all we've all complained about is how they keep doing the same thing over and over again, and we're back at it. But
it's similar to the Flyers. Everyone complains when the Flyers bring back old Flyers to coach the team. Why do the Phillies have to bring back old Phillies? I want to comment on Aaron Nola here because Newman says he's a 3 that had 2 1 years. Actually, if I don't have it up because I didn't know we were going to go into an Aaron Nola conversation, but I brought it up before. Aaron Nola has more top 10, I think it is, Cy Young finishes in his career than Zach Wheeler. He's finished in the top 10 of Cy Young voting. The 1 year he was 3rd. That was a Jacob deGrom Cy Young year. But he's had 4 top 10 finishes in the Cy Young voting. Zach Wheeler has not, just so you know. I know Zach Wheeler's the better pitcher. I'm not trying to say that, but Aaron Nola's had several very, very, very good years. He just seems to have a bad year after every really good year. That's the problem.
And for the most part, stays healthy.
Oh, I mean, that's the first time he's been on the injured list. Absolutely.
Yeah. And he's fairly consistent. Like, listen, every pitcher's had bad games and had bad.
Absolutely.
Even Zach Wheeler, there is games you can go back last year. There was 2 games I can remember. One of them was against Chicago, I think, where he just got shellacked. It was a bad game. He had one not too long ago. And that's how you know a team's in a slump. When Zach Wheeler has a bad game, when a guy like Zach Wheeler has a bad game, it is.
I mean, as big of a season as Zach Wheeler's having, at one point earlier this year, like not too long ago, like just before Aaron Nola went on the injured list, Zach Wheeler had given up more home runs this year than Aaron Nola. Mm-hmm. And we crush Aaron Nola for the home run ball. Zach Wheeler doesn't get crushed. And that's fine. No, I mean, Zach Wheeler's probably one of the 2 or 3 best pitchers in baseball, but Aaron Nola is not, statistically speaking, over the last 4, 5, 6 years, as bad as people think.
No, and it's like if you went back in every game and took out 1 inning on an Aaron Nola, he'd probably be better than Zach Wheeler is right now.
You can't do that.
I know. I know.
All right, we're talking to Big Al here, host of Delco Day at Dolan's Bar. Real quick before I let you go, Eagles. So much going on with the Eagles and the NFL, and Aaron Rodgers returning. Obviously, today's topic was Cooper Dejean because of Vic Fangio's comments. I want to ask you something different here because I want to throw something else into the conversation for the final 30, 40 minutes of this show. Did you see the comments from Saquon Barkley the other day about how just at any moment's notice he might wake up and say, yeah, I'm retired, I'm done, and just walk away like that? He's not going to have one of these Brandon Graham retirement tours or Lane Johnson saying, I got 3 more years left. What do you think of what Saquon said? And I'm having trouble wrapping my mind around what he said because I want Saquon Barkley to be here for the next decade doing what he's doing. But we all know he's not going to last very long. And I don't know. It kind of was frustrating a little bit, but also, refreshing to hear that honesty from him.
I'm not. Yeah, I think he tried to tell you that I'm a guy who knows what I want, when I want it, and how I want it. I've been successful in my career from the collegiate and the pro. I've hit the peaks, almost, set the NFL record. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's going to wake up mid-season one day and go, you know what, it's been a good run. I'm good to go. Like, I don't see that happening. Maybe he's not going to sit there and go, okay, next year will be my last year and I'm going to go on a run. But I think he's got another 2-3 years left in him. And listen, what makes him really good is he's super smart. Like, he's a very intelligent human being. And he knows his position, especially, it's got the biggest limitations on time. You take some of the worst hits, you get worn and torn. And last year, and don't forget, even before that, before the Giants, he was their Deuce Staley in a sense. Remember Deuce Staley? Every bit of the offense ran through Deuce Staley.
Took a pounding, ran right up the middle every time. And
then he was like that for the Giants. So his mileage is a lot higher than any running back would be at this stage in their career. And give him a lot of credit. He stayed extraordinarily healthy. Like, that was a one knock on him why people thought the Eagles overpaid for him, or because they weren't going to do it because he was always injured. It just goes to show you how an organization and a field can make a world of a difference to somebody.
I know you're not a golf guy, right?
No.
But you know who Rory McIlroy is, I'm assuming. Just won the Masters this year. And it's a different situation, but it's similar. So Rory this week's playing the RBC Canadian Open. He was asked about a lot of stuff this week, and he was asked about some of his struggles since he finally checked the biggest goal on his career list, winning the Masters off. And he said, yeah, it's hard to do the grind at this point in my career after finally accomplishing the biggest goal of my career. Now, I'm not saying Saquon's not putting the work in, but maybe finally after 6-7 years in the league, and like you say, running backs have a very short shelf life of success in the NFL, taking the pounding he's taken, especially from his time in the Giants, maybe he looked in the mirror this offseason like, I got my Super Bowl now. I don't have to do this for 7 more years and take that beating and barely being able to walk. Maybe finally accomplishing that goal has put the rest of his life, goals into perspective for him.
Yeah, and also maybe it's a good thing in the sense that he's saying, I'm okay to give Will Shipley some snaps. I'm okay to give AJ Dillon some snaps. I'm okay to give whoever is going to be the person, Kenny Gainwell wants to come back, and I'll give him snaps too. Whatever it is.
Kenny Gainwell has to have Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback now.
Yeah. Man, let me ask you a question. If Aaron Rodgers wasn't such a moron, and we all love him or hate him, think of him as a good quarterback or not a good quarterback, which he was a really good quarterback, one of the best in the league at one point. Key word there was, and doesn't know it was. That's the problem. There's some people who know there's your difference between Saquon and Aaron. Saquon knows that he's hit the pinnacle, and maybe he's one of those people who are happy to do it once. I think Jalen Hurts is one of those people who once is not enough. Twice as people have done it. People don't do it 3 times very often. All right, now I need to go to GOAT status. There's always people who want to better themselves, like Michael Jordan again. People who just, it's never enough for them. Maybe Saquon's the other way around. Maybe he is just the guy who's I got where I need to be. I'm very happy with myself, which is a great way to be. That means he's more loose. He's not always pushing himself too hard where he's going to injure himself. But I think somebody said it in the comments here. I think it was Nooms this time. I might be right. That he's done more than most guys in his position have done already. And we want him to do it for 4 more years. And the odds of that happening are slim to none. But Aaron Rodgers just never, ever let it go. And he's just, that's the arrogance. That's if he didn't have that, he probably could have gone down as one of the top in the game to play, top 20, top 10, 15.
Well, there's a lot of people that think he's a top 10 quarterback all time. I mean, he's got the 4 regular season MVPs. Hasn't won a Super Bowl since what was that Steelers game? It was at least over a decade ago, that Super Bowl victory for him. I get it. He's a great regular season quarterback, but he's an arrogant prick, and I just can't stand the guy. And Pittsburgh gets exactly what they deserve for bringing him in. I would, if I was Pittsburgh, I'd be like, you know what? Let's just roll with Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson and whatnot, or made a trade for Tanner McKee. That's it. You know what I mean? There's no need to do this Aaron Rodgers thing again. And it's crazy that Green Bay now has had 2 legendary quarterbacks take the exact same, both be pricks, both be arrogant, both barely win Super Bowls, and then bounce around later their career, ruining franchises. And some of them the same franchises.
And it's funny, you can kind of compare the two in Peyton Manning and him. And people are probably already blowing their minds right now. He just compared Peyton Manning and Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, because Peyton Manning for a while was known as a really good regular season QB. Then he finally got over the hump, moved on, and he struggled his way to a second one. He did not win.
No, he did not.
He did not win. That defense won that second Super Bowl. He just happened to be part of it. He was benched for a part of that season for a guy who didn't even last in the league very long. But he is a lot but what makes Peyton Manning better? He's a likable character.
Yeah.
Not just his commercials, he does everything. He seems like a fun guy. I'm sure he can be a prick if you let him be. Him and his brother just have that dynamic, even though I'm not an Eli fan at all. And there's another guy, Eli Manning. He's under 500 for a career, but he has 2 Super Bowls to his name, and most people think him to be, going to the Hall of Fame.
He is a top quarterback of all time, but we're saying he's not a top 10 quarterback of all time. And what's up, Freddie? Hope you're doing well, my man. He's just not that all-time special. Of course, you'd compare them. No, we're not debating it. We're just talking how much of an arrogant prick that he is. Yeah. Who do you guys hate worse, Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers? That's a tough call, but it's most likely Aaron Rodgers for me. Brett Favre, I hated him too, but
it's more Brett Favre behind closed doors that made him.
Yes.
Like the text messages when he was a Jet, and like some of the stuff that's come out about him, like he's done some people wrong in the past.
Aaron Rodgers is, I hate you in your face. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and he's smug about it too, which has made it even worse.
All right, so Big Al, Delco Day, Saturday, 2:00. It starts, 12 hours, $6.10 to get in. All money raised goes to Headstrong. Big Al, will you be alive on Sunday morning?
I will tell you this much: by the time I get home Sunday morning around 3 to 4 a.m., my legs will be useless. Like somebody's going to have to it's going to be the worst case of jelly legs. Because that's what it is. Like I've learned I bring 3 pairs of clothes. If you come there, you're going to see me. I'm going to be wearing see this green. I always go by what we're wearing. I have bright green shorts, bright green shoes. Like you can't miss me. And speaking of local celebrities coming by, I can tell you 2 celebrities that you know pretty well, who I'm pretty sure, 99.9% sure they're coming through. Chet and Bill, Chesko and Bill Furman will be there, and it won't be their first one. I believe they've been to 2 so far. Freddie, he's been at plenty, and like I said, he's been part of what we've done with Headstrong. So like that was what was one of the beauty things about Delco Day, is when I finally was able to use it for something that would hit close to home with Fred. His son has actually been a lot of our posters, and like we were in the Delco Times today. I believe either on I don't know if it was in their newspaper, I haven't seen it yet, or if it was on the website. It's Freddie's son. The kid's adorable. I don't know. He gets it from his mother, not from his father.
Yeah, not from Fred. Definitely not from Freddie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you very much for coming on, and best of luck. I wish I had at least like 3 more employees so I could take off on a Saturday and come on out. But there's always next year. There'll be a Delco Day 11 next year, right?
We'll see.
Man.
I've not signed off on that yet. Like you said, I'm not getting any younger. I don't know anymore. I said everybody's asked me that. Like because we used to know what Delco Day, the next Delco Day was going to be. When, like we would look at the calendar and like we're going to be doing it then. Because the first one was on the 10th, and I'm saying here first. So Delco Day, the official holiday is June 10th. For those who don't know, 610. That's where it all started.
Wow, really? Is that where you got the $6.10 entry fee?
So this Delco Day, which is technically Tuesday, the celebrations on Saturday, Delco Day on Tuesday. I might be I'm going to be coming right into the chat here on Tuesday, coming off a certain Preston Steve show, celebrating Delco Day with them because we're honoring Casey Boy with the Delco Achievement Award. So we'll be doing that live on Tuesday as well.
Big time. You tried to big time me today with, Fox 29 might want me on, so maybe I'll make it, maybe I won't. But now you're going President Steve. Man, talk about big time in a Big Al.
All right, guys. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you very much. Everybody check out the Delco Day 10 at Dolan's Bar this weekend, guys. Thanks a lot, Al. Have a good weekend, all right?
Thank you. Have a great one.
Thanks. All right, guys, that was Big Al right there. Let's reset real quick here, guys. You're watching Trending in the AM right here on the STT Sports Network. Like, share, subscribe. Make sure you're voting on the poll. We are moments away from me revealing the latest additions to my ultimate 2025 NFL quarterback ranking list, including Jaden Daniels. But, guys, make sure you're hitting that like button, that share button, that subscribe button. The Headstrong Foundation, that's correct. Will the Gobbler be there? I don't know. I just went real quick, rib on him, Big Al, because, I'm like, yo, come on, promote Delco Day, talk a little bit. And he's like, I don't know, Fox 29. I'm waiting to hear from Fox 29. can't commit. I'm like, yo, you're going to big time me for Fox 29? Big Al is that big time now? Now he's mentioning Preston and Steve. Jeez. Yes, exactly. Headstrong and Delco Day helped Freddie and his family so much. You truly don't know how much the money adds up. Yeah, absolutely great event, great cause, great thing, and they do a great job there. And Headstrong, everybody knows somebody that's been affected by some way. 12 likes. Come on, let's go. Like, share, subscribe. How hard is it, Adam? I don't know. I don't get it. All right, guys, it's time. It's that time. This is the latest edition. Hopefully, TMZ is still in the chat. The latest update to my ultimate NFL quarterback ranking list. I got to change the background layout real quick here. Where's the one I want? Right there. And I put that back up. No, that's not the layout I want. That's not the layout I want. Is that the layout? Nope, that's not the layout. That's not the layout. I'm just trying to find the right layout. What happened to the layout I like? I'm in here messing with my layouts. I guess we'll go with that layout for now. People messing with my layouts. Anyway, I thought I had a big one. Is that it? There's the one I was looking for right there. There's the layout I was looking for. All right. Ultimate 2024 quarterback ranking list 2025. And yes, when you look at the top of the list, Jaden Daniels did not come in at 7th, as Peanut guessed. Jaden Daniels is number 6 on my quarterback ranking list for 2025. Randall Cunningham is not on the list. No, he is not. Honestly, you wouldn't like where I rank him anyway, since I consider him overrated in Eagles history. But here's my list. This is where we're at. We've got Jaden Daniels, number 6, just outside the top 5. I have said it countless times. I think Jaden Daniels is not going to have the sophomore slump that other people think he's going to have. I think he's going to be very, very good this year. I think he's going to be fine. I'm high on Jaden Daniels. High on Jaden Daniels. Yeah, no, not all time, just for this year. I thought I had a big one. Yeah. I hope you got Hurts. Yes, I've got Hurts higher than Jaden Daniels. Absolutely. 2-11 is surprising. Yeah, we're going to get into that in a second. We're going to run down the new names. Did you know Randall Cunningham's brother's all-time leading rusher in Patriot time? Did not know that. I know. I love the ref. I'm hoping the ref the district guys. I'm going to share my updated list on Twitter after the show. Look, Jaden Daniels is a great young quarterback, but he's a rookie coming off a rookie campaign. Everyone expects him to take a step back. I don't. I do know they have a Terry McLaurin issue right now in Washington. We'll see how that plays out. Howie Roseman would never let that happen. Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Muchas gracias. Cooper needs more experience to become a Pro Bowler. He's a cerebral player. He doesn't just rely on his athleticism. And the conversation, Mr. about Cooper Dejean has been centered around the fact of the comments that Vic Fangio had on Tuesday talking about how Cooper Dejean will be on the field every single play, whether it's slot corner in that nickel formation, whether it's on the outside or safety. When you have your coordinator like Cooper Dejean being talked about in a sense where I will do whatever is possible to find a way to keep him on the field, that tells me maybe his ceiling is even higher than we realize. So you got to love it. And I think he will be in the conversation for Pro Bowl. He'll be in the conversation for All-Pro someday, for sure. And thank you very much, Mr. I greatly appreciate it. Agree, Phil. Daniels is a big problem. And I think people are writing off Washington and Jaden Daniels too quickly. Now, I can't put him ahead of the likes of Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson just yet. Josh Allen. I can't put him ahead of those guys just yet. But there he is at number 6 right there on my list. Tua Tagovailoa. I think the guy, if healthy, is a very good quarterback. The problem is, like I said, Adam, many times, when after Matthew Stafford and Jordan Love, even throw Matthew Stafford and Jordan, you can go 8, 9, 10, can be bounced around. 10, 11, 14, 16 on this list, Tua, Kyler, Brock, Dak, any of those names can be flipped, and I'd be like, sure. There's a serious problem at quarterback in the NFL outside the top 6 or 8 quarterbacks, there's a lot of really, really mediocre, bad quarterback play in the NFL. And let me just say, I got the Steelers at number 31. That was before Aaron Rodgers' comments. You know what? I'm going to leave him at 31 despite Aaron Rodgers, because Aaron Rodgers is a bum, and he's staying there, just so you know. The Mets stole that first place right back. They're legit when healthy. Yeah, the Phillies are now 1.5 games back in the division. All right, so Tua, number 11 on the list. I added, somebody the other day asked about Geno Smith. Geno Smith, I've got at number 17, just ahead of Caleb Williams, just behind Dak Prescott on this list. Number 23, Russell Wilson and the New York Giants. I hope everybody saw the Giants fighting in OTAs yesterday. Always great to see the Giants already fighting amongst themselves. And number 27, Cam Ward, number 1 overall rookie draft pick in the draft this past year. I've got him ahead of Bryce Young and Anthony Richardson. The dude just seems to have a very strong head on his shoulders. I don't know if he's going to be a good quarterback or not, but I think at this point he can already be considered better than Bryce. And honestly, Anthony Richardson might not even be the quarterback with the Colts. He's got some kind of a shoulder joint issue, not practicing for now. Daniel Jones is getting all the ones. It might come down that Daniel Jones starts week 1 for the Colts. That's kind of crazy. But I wouldn't change much of that anyway. Daniel Jones still sucks anyway. I would probably put Daniel Jones ahead of Bryce Young, but maybe Cam Ward. Maybe. Actually, I think he would go up to number 25, Daniel Jones, and everybody else would drop one. But that's it. Gen X and old Bostonian. Yep. Calling Randall Cunningham overrated in Philly attacker. Didn't say he was overrated. Well, I did say he was overrated. Look, he's overrated. What did he ever win? And I don't want to hear he didn't have weapons. It's this overinflated value of the Kelly Green era. Everybody loves the Kelly Green era. The Kelly Green era is one of the most disappointing eras in Eagles history. So I never, ever put anybody from the Kelly Green era too high on my list when I talk about him. Randall almost caught his brother in rushing yards. He was like 500 short. Wow. Okay. I mean, Randall was an elite athlete, and we saw what he was capable of doing when he went to Minnesota. Did he win the MVP that year? I think he won the NFL MVP that year. Pretty sure he did. But this is where we're at with the list. Now there's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's still 11 names to go. I wanted to do a special show with the top 5. I'm not sure when that's going to be, but Monday I will reveal on Monday everybody not in the top 5. So you're going to want to stay tuned for that because the rest of that list will get released on Monday. All right, we're up to 16 likes. We're slowly growing the like number. Please like. I don't have to put the YMC up. Like, share, subscribe, vote on the poll. Is Cooper Dejean a Pro Bowler in 2025? Do all that for me, guys. I greatly appreciate it. But we will reveal everybody from 7 to 24 on Monday, and then we'll figure out when I have time next week to do my top 5 list. Will Tua play enough games to be ranked 11 on this list? It's a big question. I think when he plays, he's very talented. You can make an argument, like I said, Steve. Flip him with Kyler. You can flip him with Brock. You can flip him. Hell, you can flip him with Dak and make the argument. Yeah. Buddy Ryan was overrated, but putting Randall behind that offensive line was the real second. Look, Buddy Ryan was massively overrated, and that is not a knock on my band, Buddy Walters, his nephew, who I'm friends with, player agent Buddy Walters. Just overrated as a head coach. That was a very unsuccessful time in Eagles history. Fangio asked the media, did they know how often they played base defense last season? I don't think he even knew. It was looked up. They played base defense 105 times in 21 games. It averages out to 5 times a game. So yeah. What's up, yeah boy? How do you feel about the Madden curse? Well, there's a couple things I want to talk about because that leads to the thing I brought up with Big Al there at the end of the interview with Big Al Zaffiri. I don't believe in it. We went through the numbers of the last 10 Madden curses. 7 had great seasons, not always resulting in championships, but great seasons, and only 3 times. Christian McCaffrey last year, Rob Gronkowski, and I forget the other one. There was Josh Allen had 18 interceptions when he was on the Madden curse. So only 3 times in the last 10 years did the Madden curse actually happen. So I don't believe in it. But Saquon Barkley did say in an interview or a podcast or something the other day that he's just going to retire at a random moment. He doesn't know when, but it could be next year. It could be 2 years. It could be 3 years. He's just going to wake up one day and say, I'm done. And it's kind of crazy Crazy to hear that. Because we kind of feel like this core is going to stay together forever. Saquon Barkley has had a lot of wear and tear on those legs. How much longer is he going to want to do it? It's going to be a sad day in Eagles history when one day the breaking news across Twitter is Saquon Barkley announces his retirement from the NFL. Now, it's not going to happen this year. But it could happen next year. It could happen the year after that. It's a crazy, crazy thought. You're not true DELCO unless you have a Franklin Mint Credit Union account. Well, I mean, I haven't been in DELCO since I've been there, but I was a part of DELCO until I was 15. So maybe I had one back in the day. I don't know. That's a question right there. I don't know the answer to that. But guys, make sure you're liking, you're sharing, you're subscribing, voting on the poll, do all those things that you got to do to help grow this show, grow this channel. The Saquon thing, it's just something that puts into perspective the shortness of NFL careers. And now some of them prioritize their well-being over everything else. It's crazy. It's crazy. Real quick, we got about 15 minutes left in today's show. Obviously, the Phillies start a series against Pittsburgh this weekend tonight with a bullpen game. And I ask again, on the Phillies side of the equation, how is it June 6th and there's not one guy that could fill in tonight for Zach Wheeler? How crazy is it? This deep starting rotation has shown so many cracks, so much. Aaron Nola on the injured list with whatever's bothering him. Jesus Luzardo's bottomed out. Most runs in the last two starts are than ever before. Zach Wheeler's out. You got Mick Abel up already. Andrew Painter's not ready, supposedly. Ranger Suarez. Christopher Sanchez even. But despite his numbers being good, Christopher Sanchez has even struggled lately. Christopher Sanchez might have great results on paper the last couple outings, but he's really battled a lot harder than the numbers show. This great starting rotation the Phillies have has shown way too many kinks in the oil. What's up, Keith? How you doing? If I had a $1 million clear in my account, I would never stop on a football field again. If I had $1 million clear in my account, I would never step on it. Okay, gotcha. Well, $1 million to us, Keith, is a lot different than $1 million to the athletes, or $10 million. Oh, $10 million. If you had $10 million in your account, you would never step foot. Yeah, look, we talked about it with Big Al. You know, I bring up Rory McIlroy. I know you're not all golf fans, but he finally won his first Masters back in August. And there's this theory. He said that, yeah, it's tough. I finally accomplished my number one goal in my career. I won the Masters, and it's hard to wake up and go through the grind. Rory McIlroy's older. He's been burned out over the being the face of the PGA Tour for how many years? It's very tough. He's had personal issues with his wife and, life. It's hard. Maybe Saquon Barkley's top goal was winning a Super Bowl. He got his Super Bowl. Now he looks in the mirror and be like, damn, this grind's a lot harder than you realize. And I've got my goal accomplished. I don't have to go for another 10 years now. I feel very strongly about Gabe Brincone's. I want to see him make it. I was looking at AAA numbers. I know you mentioned him before. I want to say his numbers didn't look as good as I thought based off of the way you talked. Maybe it was somebody else I was looking at. So you think they will draft another running back in the next draft or have another veteran running back on the radar? Well, I think they got what they think could be that in Will Shipley. Will Shipley do it? I don't know, Adam. But it depends on that. The answer to this question depends on how Will Shipley plays this year in sporadic moments filling in for Saquon Barkley. That's, I think, where the answer to that question will come in. I really, truly do. Until they see what they have there in Will Shipley. Now, Rick will tell you that Will Shipley is going to be great eventually for the Eagles, and that very well may be the case. We just don't have enough evidence one way or another on it just yet. We just have gut feelings on it right now. So there's that to throw in there. Guys, final 10 minutes of the show. Got 16 people watching right now, so there should be over 16 likes. There should be about 20 likes on this video, so get to that. Topics on my list say, we forgot to cover Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Oh, we got to cover Crawford first. Yeah, Crawford was 3 for 3 last night. But he was also pulled from the game. Now, he could have been pulled from the game for 4 different reasons, Nooms. He could pulled from the game because he hurt his quad. He was stretching his quad out. He could have been pulled from the game because it was a blowout at that point. He could have been pulled from the game because he's getting the call up today. Or he could have been pulled from the game because he's being traded and they just haven't announced it yet. And the answer could be yes to all of the above. Justin Crawford should be on the big league, but big club. But if he hurt his quad, we might not see him anytime soon or even this year. Now, hurting his quad gives the Phillies the perfect reason to hold him back for another month and save another year on his arbitration eligibility. Will I reevaluate the Steelers now that they have Rodgers as their starting quarterback? Duck, no. I said about 5 minutes ago, no. Aaron Rodgers is a bum. Can't stand the guy. I will. I try to not to let my bias get into rankings, but my bias is 100% in on Aaron Rodgers. Look, Aaron Rodgers was 5-12 last year with the Jets. And he had weapons. He had Breece Hall. He had Garrett Wilson. Forget who his tight end was last year. Aaron Rodgers had a team there. They stunk. Aaron Rodgers stinks. He's an a-hole. He's a bum. He's washed. He's the biggest nitwit a-hole in all of football. Can't stand the guy. This guy can go away and never be on my TV screen. Everyone's like, oh, you got to listen to him on Joe Rogan. I'll never, ever listen to Joe Rogan when he's got Aaron Rodgers on. When Aaron Rodgers goes on Pat McAfee, click, off, done. Aaron Rodgers has nothing. Nothing. I want nothing to do with that boy. Howie Roseman is such a genius. He convinced Barkley to retire early so he has more cap space to re-sign Quinn. That's funny. That's funny. I like that. That is a Howie Roseman move, mister. There you go. Yes, Rodgers is a bum. Exactly. Dave B is traveling with the Iron Pigs this week for some reason. Yeah, I saw Dave D. Dave Dombrowski is. Yeah, I saw him down in Charlotte earlier in this week. Yeah. Evaluating the talent in AAA. Interesting. Very interesting. I'm embarrassed for Steelers Nation. Keith, the Steelers get everything they deserve. They deserve all the disaster. They deserve it all. Good. Good luck, Pittsburgh. Laughing stock in the NFL now. Plain and simple. Barry Sanders retired early. Who's better, Barry Sanders or Saquon? Barry Sanders, physically more gifted than any running back that I ever watched. I'm 44 years old. Barry Sanders is, in my lifetime, the greatest running back I ever saw. But he never won in a Super Bowl. But I don't think a running back, maybe a running back could truly carry to like Saquon. Has it been confirmed he was not injured in that game? I don't know. I still don't know if Mike Tomlin signed off on this or not. Mike Tomlin does not strike me as the type of guy that would accept the Aaron Rodgers shenanigans. He doesn't. But the thing is, there's going to be Aaron Rodgers is not going to work out. And the GM is going to blame Tomlin, and he's going to be fired after all these years in Pittsburgh. All because of Aaron Rodgers. Coach killer right there. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, real quick, we got 5 minutes left. Out there yapping and chirping and running his mouth again. Just like he did the last time he left Philadelphia. Saying that, it wasn't a money thing now. It was someone didn't like him in the organization, i.e. Vic Fangio or Nick Sirianni or Howie Roseman. Like an executive or a coach is actually the reason why Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's not here. And he said something along the lines of, don't do those young boys the way you did me or something like that. Why can't Chauncey Gardner-Johnson just keep his damn mouth shut? The dude does. I said it when he left the first time. I said it when we brought him back. I'm saying it again. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson would be a pretty damn talented player if he just keep his damn mouth shut. But he refuses to do it. And it drives me freaking nuts and up a wall. It's normal for baseball GMs to cruise the minors in preparing for the draft. Okay. Well, I honestly, till this year, I haven't paid attention to the minors in a long time. Remember, the minors were pretty bad for a while there. And we had the Mickey Moniacs and the Carl, what was the other dude? Cornelius, what was Cornelius' name? What was that other first-round pick? We had some bad drafts and bad minor league systems for a while. So just getting back into the minor league system a little bit in the last year or so. So maybe that is the case, dude. I was thinking because when he was there, wasn't it the White Sox they were playing? their minor leagues team. Thought maybe he was evaluating some of their minor league talent. I don't know. Not uncommon for them to take stock. Yeah, I'm sure it's not that uncommon. Steelers are the kind of team that can lean on an old, washed-up quarterback because they are run-first franchise. Will Aaron Rodgers accept that? The Jets could have been run first, and they weren't last year. Najee Harris is not that good anyway. Maybe Kenny Gainwell and Aaron Rodgers is going to be the team that tears it all up. Maybe. I don't know. Pathetic. How much longer until Devontae Adams is on the Steelers? I don't know that answer either. Who's my favorite all-time Eagle? That's a lot tougher than it sounds. And thanks for the question. I mean, I like to say my Mount Rushmore involves Brian Dawkins, Jason Kelsey. Jalen Hurts is pretty close to it. Seth Joyner. I do not have Reggie White on my all-time Eagles list. Because when I think of the word name Reggie White, I think of him as a Green Bay Packer, not a Philadelphia Eagle. Despite being old enough, okay, to have been watching him in Eagles, I blame the ownership for letting him walk, but, I think of him more as a Packer than an Eagle, plain and simple. But Brian Dawkins is probably, if I had a gun to my head and had to say who my favorite Eagle was, it would be Brian Dawkins. I have a feeling when it's all said and done, Jalen Hurts will be in that top spot. I have a feeling. I've been high on Jalen Hurts since the day he came out. Well, since the day he started for Alabama and the day he got benched with Alabama, I've been a huge, huge Jalen Hurts guy. So Jalen Hurts is going to be on that list in the top spot someday. In my opinion, Jalen Hurts is already the greatest quarterback in Eagles history. Brian Dawkins is probably the greatest player at this point. Asante Samuels is my favorite quarterback since I was a kid. See, maybe I'm a little older than you. Eric Allen was my favorite as a kid growing up. So, yeah. But again, Asante Samuels was really good here. What was he here? 3-4 years? Mike Mamula. Look, Mike Mamula was actually a lot better than people realize. If Mike Mamula was a third-round pick and had the same career he had in Philly, he'd be lauded as a solid player. But because he was so overdrafted, he was expected to do so much more than he did. That was a downtime in Eagles drafting history. Is that a Joe Banner draft pick, Mike Mamula? Joe Banner. That guy is a curmudgeon. For who, for what? I knew the Ricky Walters thing wasn't going to work because the first play of the game in his first game in Midnight Green was I forget what the play was exactly, but he ran I don't know if he came out of the backfield or was in the slot or whatever, over the middle, and the first play, alligator arm it. For who, for what? You knew right then who Ricky Walters was. His first time touching the ball in a meaningful football game for the Eagles. You knew it. You knew it. You knew for who, for what. You knew who he was and what he was on his first touch in an Eagles uniform. You knew it, plain and simple. It is what it is, guys. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, man. Still annoys me so much. Let's see. Did I cover everything on my list today? Saquon might retire anytime. Phillies need to call up the new daycare. Who steps up? Oh, we're saving that for Monday. Dennis Smith Jr. That's going to save the Sixers season. Here's one for you. Funny one for you guys to end the day. Saw a picture someone snapped of Daryl Morey yesterday in Philly, okay? In the background of the picture, you got two guys in shorts and tank tops. You got the guy taking or asking Daryl Morey something in a nice button-down T-shirt with short sleeves. Daryl Morey's out in jeans and a hoodie on an 85-degree day in Philly, walking the streets. You cannot trust a guy that's wearing a hoodie and pants in 85-degree weather. You just can't. Alan Rodgers, we covered that. We touched on Terry McLaurin, the Phillies, Luzardo. Yeah, we touched on all that. Catering was good yesterday. Very busy day yesterday. Very long day yesterday at the pizza shop. It is what it is. It happens. My body is very sore. I'm getting too old for busy days anymore, honestly. Someone want to buy a pizza shop? I'm 17 years. I'm ready. My favorite Eagle of all time, Herschel Walker. And guy was an interesting running back right there. Very solid. Underappreciated, honestly, as a running back. All right, guys. Final minute of the show. If you haven't already, hit that like button. If you haven't already, share. If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel, please. I greatly appreciate each and every one of those things. Thank you, Mista, for you. Appreciate it. Whoa. I was wearing a hoodie yesterday. I was trying to so maybe Daryl Morey was trying to sweat off some extra weight. You can't trust a guy walking the streets of Philly in a hoodie and jeans. You can't. Sorry. If you had a reason, maybe I need to hear Daryl Morey's reason. I mean, I did make a post about it. Daryl Morey never responds to any of my call-outs of him. But at least you got an excuse. Training for a little fight or something there? Yeah, boy? Is that what you're doing? Training for a little fight? So that's why you sweat it out. To drop the LBs, to make weight. Anyway, guys, we got lots on the agenda next week. Got some ideas for some guests for next week. I got to start reaching out to them. More likely, looks like he's. Yeah, pretty much. 18 likes. All right, getting there. Something about a psychopath safety that loves to hit in the box gives the defense an edge. Yeah. That's kind of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson too. But for some reason, he's out there yapping his mouth again. Can't trust them if they're wearing a shiesty mask. Yeah. Oh, man. Anyway, great show today, guys. Great week of shows this week, guys. Guys, please go out there. Find me new subscribers this week. And I wanted to hit 540 this week. We gained 1 new subscriber this week. Guys, please tell people everywhere. Trending in the AM, the STT Sports Network. This is where it's at every single morning at 8 o'clock. Thank you very much, Adam. Thank you to everybody who's tuned in this week. Thank you, Mister, for the super chat today. Greatly appreciate that as well. We're going to wrap it up. I got to get to work. Everybody have a great Friday, a great weekend. Day number. Yeah. Can you imagine if I was still doing those Daryl Morey videos? I'd be going crazy. Guys, everybody have a great weekend. Go Birds. Bubbles up to you.